Welcome back, my friends. Currently, we're on day 339 of Russia's disastrous invasion of Ukraine, and here's the latest situation report. Heavy fighting as battle for Vuhledar rages. Ukrainian forces have inflicted heavy losses on Russian attackers in the latest clash for the frontline town in the Donbass region. Now, Russia is claiming a significant breakthrough towards Vuhledar, but Ukraine is saying that Moscow is exaggerating. So when we look at the map on deepstatemap.live, it's important to remember that just a month ago, the general in charge of this entire war was fired by Putin, and Gerasimov himself, the chief of staff of the army, was put in charge of the entire war. And supposedly, Gerasimov was ordered to take the entirety of the Donbass region by this March. So this is coming up in 2 months. Now, this dotted line is the official boundary of the Donetsk Oblast. Can Russia get to about here within 2 months when they can't even take the frontline city of Bakhmut? So when we zoom in down here, this is the town of Vuhledar, and pre-war the population of this town was only 15,000 people. But let's go ahead and look at the map, look at the progress that the Russians have been making. This is the scale down here, 2,000 feet and 500 meters. So to go from Pavlivka to Vuhledar, this is 1 kilometer. So let's go back in time a month and see how much progress has Russia been making in the Donbass region. And they went from here to about here. They went about 500 meters in a month. We can go ahead and rewind this another month, and where were they then? The city of Pavlivka 2 months ago was probably still being disputed. So how many thousands of soldiers has Russia lost just to go about 500 meters in the Donbass region when their stated objective, Gerasimov's probably going to be fired on April 1st for failing to take the entirety of the Donbass region. Now, I've seen the videos. I can't show them on YouTube. I'll include them in a pinned comment down below if you want to see them for yourself. But this is just inhumane to be sending your own soldiers to their deaths in these human wave attacks. They have no chance of succeeding. I guess the only hope the Russians expect from these human wave attacks is that Ukraine will run out of bullets and then be overrun. But these videos that I'm seeing online are absolutely horrifying. And I'm sure that the Russian soldiers on the front lines don't like it either. Every couple days, every week, there's another one of these viral videos of Russian soldiers filming themselves asking for help to anyone in Russia that cares if these men live or die. They're asking for help. This is part of the reason why the Russian military has banned the use of smartphones that have cameras. They don't want their soldiers repeatedly filming these videos. So let me share with you just about 30 seconds of this clip.
80. На данный момент не относящийся ни к одной из частей 31.12.22 года, находящийся в непосредственной близости от линии фронта, без какой-либо подготовки, без техники и поддержки. Изначально нас подготавливали как тероборону, а по факту закинули в штурмовую группу. Уже есть потери, 19 раненых и 2 убитых. Это за 2 суток на 24.01.23 года. На довольствие не стоим, питаемся, покупаем воду за свой счет, живем в полной антисанитарии, лечимся своими силами и заслугами.
So these mobilized Russian men are saying they're not receiving any food rations, they're having to buy their own water to survive, and they're not getting any training, equipment, or support from the Russian military. It's just insane. Let's now do a follow-up on my video from 2 days ago, and it was titled, Russia Considering Giving Iran Nuclear Weapons. And sure enough, the next day, Iran starts getting bombed. Iran claims it has come under drone attacks following explosions. The Iranian Ministry of Defense claims that drones struck a facility in Isfahan as reports of blasts in other cities cause alarm. So this was some kind of coordinated attack. Strikes recorded in several regions. 14 industrial and military facilities were targeted, among them an oil refinery, a weapons factory, and a drone factory. The Iranian army is now on high alert. So the Defense Ministry of Iran is not saying who did it, but I mean, really, it's only one possibility. I don't think this was the United States because if President Biden did this, he would have to, within 60 days or something, explain why he did it to Congress and get their approval retroactively. President Biden's not going to do that. So really, the only option in the area is Israel. And here's a quote I want to read to you from the Israeli ambassador to Germany. And he says, Israel supports Ukraine in the war against Russia on a larger scale than the public knows. Israel helps Ukraine, but behind the scenes and much more than is known. I think Israel has been contributing. They could be doing more directly as far as military aid. But I think the value of Israel in this war is intelligence. I'm sure that Israel has agents and spies in the Kremlin leaking information about this war to Western allies, and that is being effectively used to benefit Ukraine. But if Israel wants to go rogue and start bombing these factories that produce these Shahed drones, I don't think Iran's going to get much sympathy in the West anymore, considering these drones are attacking and killing civilians in European cities. And Russia is sticking with this idea. They really like this idea of what if we just gave weapons of mass destruction to countries unfriendly to the United States. Let me show you a little bit of this clip.
Уже работаем над этим. Руководство современной Украины нам враги. Они вооружают нашего врага. У них врагов нет. А как там чувствуют себя талибы? Им ничего не надо? Может, мы Ирану можем чем-нибудь подсобить? Что Ирану-то надо? Одна, что мы могли бы ему дать. А Северной Корее нечем нам помочь, что ли?
Ну, для начала хотела выступить против режима санкций.
Для начала, но это должно быть очень быстрое, наверное, начало, за которым должно последовать очень быстрое продолжение и совершенно очевидный конец.
First of all, I don't think the Taliban wants anything to do with the Russians, given that it was the Soviet Union that invaded and occupied them for 10 years in the 1980s. I'm sure they remember what the Russians did to them 40 years ago. And as far as North Korea, let me give you the cheat sheet. If North Korea approves of what you're doing, more than likely you're the bad guy. North Korea condemns the United States for sending battle tanks to Ukraine. This woman right here is Kim Yo-jong, the influential sister of North Korea's dictator Kim Jong-un. More or less, she's the brains of the regime at this point, and she's accused the United States of fighting a proxy war against Russia. First of all, there are now a dozen countries pledging to send battle tanks to Ukraine. This is what North Korea does. It only talks about the United States because North Korea views itself as an equal to the United States. So North Korea is not going to waste their time condemning Denmark or the Netherlands. But I'm pretty sure it was Russia sending battle tanks to Ukraine that started this war. Did North Korea ever condemn Russia when Russia sent battle tanks to Ukraine to fight a proxy war against NATO by attacking Ukraine? That would be pretty interesting if North Korea were to say that. So January was the month of tanks. All of these countries announcing that they will be sending hundreds of battle tanks to help Ukraine defend itself. And the month of February is going to be the month of planes, the month of fighter jets. Senators are calling for the United States to give Ukraine F-16s and ATACMS. So this is a bipartisan group of senators, including Sheldon Whitehouse, Lindsey Graham, and Richard Blumenthal, saying to President Biden, you should okay the transfer of these F-16s. I think it is important for Congress to have a say and for Congress to be the one pushing President Biden in this direction. I think this will have an impact on his decision. Additionally, on my channel, I've made the arguments why ATACMS are not a good fit for Ukraine, given how expensive they are, and the possibility that Russia might actually be able to shoot these things down. But if political pressure is growing on President Biden to approve the transfer of these longer-range missiles, then they could make an appearance on the battlefield relatively soon. Now, if the Pentagon does start sending ATACMS missiles to Ukraine, this won't be announced in a security package. I think they will just show up in the country, and then there will be a coordinated strike in the middle of the night, multiple launchers firing multiple ATACMS in order to surprise all of these command posts and ammunition depots just outside of that 80-kilometer Gimler range. So that'll be an interesting night if these are actually transferred. And Kyiv is already improving the airfields, anticipating the Western fighter jets that are coming. Ukraine's Air Force spokesman says work is underway to upgrade airfields for Western fighter jets, even though none have been officially promised yet. But there are lots of European countries already in talks and negotiations how to get these planes to Ukraine. France is considering transferring some of their fighter aircraft to Ukraine. So this is an incredible effort all around. The next interesting story we should talk about concerns the presidential elections in the Czech Republic. A General Petr Pavel has been elected as the new president of Czechia, or the Czech Republic. This is welcome news for Ukraine, as Pavel is a former chair of the NATO Military Committee and a strong supporter of Ukraine. So why is this election so significant to the war? And it's because this is Putin's master plan. Because the war on the ground is going so terrible for Russia, they can't even secure the entirety of the Donbas region. Putin's master plan is to now drag this war out for years and years. Enough time for democratic elections in Western countries to give up on supporting Ukraine. So I think in many Western countries, it's going to be presidential elections between a candidate in favor of continuing to support Ukraine and then a candidate opposed to continuing to support Ukraine, possibly favoring Russia or wanting to give Russia concessions in order to go back to business as normal. And this is exactly what happened in the Czech Republic. So this general defeated a billionaire ex-premier who goes by the name of Babis. So this is the candidate who lost the presidential election. And this guy campaigned on fears of the war in Ukraine spreading and sought to offer to broker peace talks while suggesting his opponent, Pavel, a former soldier, could drag the Czechs into a war, a claim that Pavel rejected. So I think this narrative is going to continue playing out over and over in Western elections as this war in Ukraine continues for the rest of 2023. And what's nice about this election is it wasn't even close. The election results were about 58% to 42%. That's a 16-point margin. In a democracy, this really isn't even close. So elected officials, leaders in Western countries, they're paying attention to poll results. So here's a poll that recently came out of Germany. And now that Germany is sending the tanks, Chancellor Scholz made this decision. They've now polled the German public, and are you in favor of this or are you against it? 54% of Germans are in favor of sending Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. 38% are opposed. But that 38% opposed tells another story. When you look at how Germany is still divided, 34 years since the fall of the Berlin Wall, polls are showing that a strong majority of former West Germany favors supplying Ukraine with tanks, while almost exactly the same number in East Germany are opposed. Now, the old West Germany has more people than the old East Germany, but look at these numbers. East Germany, 35 being in favor, 57 against, and it's the mirror image on the Western side. I just think that's really interesting. And on Kremlin state TV, it doesn't matter all the other countries sending tanks to Ukraine. Russian television loves talking about Germany. They love talking about the German people and Germany's history. It is their obsession. So let me show you a little bit of this clip talking about what Germany has done.
Фактически канцлер Германии Олаф Шольц ввел в действие план «Барбаросса-2». И оценивать деятельность нынешнего правительства Германии мы должны исходя из этого. Реинкарнация фашизма в том или ином виде произошла, поэтому для России Шольц должен рассматриваться как второй Адольф Гитлер, а Анна Лена Бербок как Риббентроп в юбке.
This is absolutely incredible. So Operation Barbarossa was the Nazi invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941, when the Nazis and the Soviets had a non-aggression pact. They went to the negotiating table and agreed to split Poland down the middle. Real nice guys, those Soviets. But even nicer guys are the Nazis who stabbed them in the back and launched a full-scale invasion of the Soviet Union. So on Russian state TV today, they're saying that Germany is supplying tanks to Ukraine so Ukraine can defend itself. This is the equivalent of Operation Barbarossa. Operation Barbarossa 2.0. The parallels here are striking how similar 1941 is today. This is what the Russians believe. And that evil German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, truly he is Hitler 2.0. This is what Russian propaganda is telling their people. And they're claiming that they need to liberate Germany again. So here is Margarita saying that the German people are not to blame and the Russians need to liberate them again.
Это же ведь не немецкий народ такой. Немецкий народ-то 94% против, как нам сообщает немецкое же радио. Это значит, руководство немецкого народа такое. Это значит, что немецкий народ снова взяли в тиски фашисты. И не надо ли нам немецкий народ от этих фашистов освободить? Конечно, Володь, именно так. А что мы еще должны обо всем этом думать?
So the Russian military, after a year of fighting, can't even take the city of Bakhmut, but somehow they're going to take the rest of Ukraine, get through Poland, and then retake Germany in order to liberate its people from Hitler 2.0 German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. This is where we are, guys. All right, last couple feel-good clips I have for you. The first one is of a Ukrainian defender, and I believe he has named this kitten Rocky Balboa.
Добрий ранок. Привітайтеся, тут це у нас. І посвятили його як Рокі Бальбоа. Да? И Цёня. Путешественник мы. Ага, сослуживец какой.
Pretty cute. Final clip I have for you is of a Ukrainian girl who is excited to receive a new present.
Ова! Карапузы. Ова, привет! Поздоровайся. Таня! Все классно?
She's excited for her new warm hat. That's all for this update video. Glory to the heroes, glory to Ukraine. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support my channel. Comments or questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, take care, be safe.